Hello everyone, I hope you're doing fine. In today's video we're going to work with a use of English exercise, and in order to do that we're going to see first some vocabulary regarding linking expressions, and then I'm going to guide you through the activities that you see right now on the screen. On the screen you will see activities 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. And the idea is that you work on these while you watch the video. Once you finish working with this video, you will have to do activities 1, 2, 3 and 4 that you see on the page on the screen. You've got these pages in the PDF file for the unit, and the idea is that you write down your answers in a Word document and you upload it as an assignment in Edmodo. So let's begin. So remember that now we're working with page 83. The first activity is to work in pairs, and once again, and I keep repeating this, you will not do this that way, but you have to read this short text and say what the purpose is of the highlighted phrases. So now I'm going to give you some time for you to read this short text and answer the question. So press pause now, because then when you press play again, we're going to discuss your answers. All right, so this is the text. Now, what is the purpose of the highlighted phrases? What do you think? Let's see. The highlighted phrases connect ideas or information and act as signposts for the reader. What does this mean? Well, it means that linking phrases guide our reading into interpreting what the writer wants to say. And this is mainly what we're going to work with in this video. So let's continue. In order to progress in the activities, first we're going to explore some language. And the language we're going to explore is linking expressions. Let's read this language box together. You also have it on the page. We have some phrases that help us indicate that there are some limitations to a concept, or that we need to reformulate a concept. So what do we mean by this? So phrases that show limitation are used to express the limits of an idea, concept, or suggestion. And we have some examples here. Having said that, up to a point, then again, in reality, at the same time. Also, we have phrases that show that we want to reformulate or say something in a different way or in a new way to help us understand better. So examples of these could be, in other words, better, rather, that is to say, to put it more simply, and also we can say to put it mildly or to put it bluntly, and there are more examples of that. But we're going to work with to put it simply to begin with, all right? So before we move on to the next activity in the page, I would like you to do two short activities that I'm going to show you now. So let's do these two activities for linking expressions to show limitations and reformulation. The phrases for limitation, as I have already said, are having said that, up to a point, then again, in reality, and at the same time. The idea now is that you match the two halves of these 5 sentences so that you can see these phrases in context. So I'm going to give you some time for you to read 1 to 5 and then the boxes, do the matching, and then we check. So for this, I'm going to ask you to pause now, because the next time I'm going to speak, I'm just going to give you the answers, all right? So number 1, no one likes conflict. And the answer is, but at the same time, we have to deal with the problem. So there's a clear limitation to the first half of the phrase. Number 2 says, he forgets most things But having said that, he always remembers my birthday. So we can also see a clear limitation in the first half of the phrase. 3. He told the police he was out of town. But in reality, he never went anywhere. Number 4. The new traffic system worked up to a point. But it had its problems. So the fact that it worked has a limitation because it didn't work fully, right? And 5. I like to travel. But then again, I'm very fond of my home. So now this activity is meant for you to see these phrases in use, in context. So I hope that this helps. For the next set of phrases, for reformulation, we have in other words, better, rather, that is, or that is to say, and to put it simply or to put it more simply. Now let's do another activity. This time the idea is that you fill in the gaps. So once more you have 5 sentences and you've got the phrases in the box, and I'm going to give you some time for you to complete these phrases, and then the next time I speak I'm going to be giving you the answers. So pause now, do the activity, and then press play again. So let's check. Number 1. I don't want to hurt his feelings, but honestly, to put it simply, I think he's wrong. Number 2. She'll fly to California on Thursday. Or rather, she will if she has to. So this is a very different use of the word rather than the one you're used to, right? You're used to using rather for comparisons, like I prefer this rather than this other thing. But this is another use of the word rather. 3. Our friends, that is to say, our son's friends, will meet us at the airport. So this phrase is used for clarification. 4. He was economical with the truth. In other words, he was lying. You're presenting 2 synonym phrases in a way with the phrase in other words. Why don't you give her a call? Or better still, go and see her. So this is, again, another use of the word better. Instead of using it for comparison, you're using it to reformulate what you have said so that you're more clear or you're more specific. All right? So now let's go back to the other activities. So now that you have worked with some of the phrases, the idea is that you complete these 4 sentences. So now instead of having 1 sentence per phrase, you just have 4 sentences, so you'll have to decide which phrase goes in each gap. I'm going to give you a minute to do this. Press pause, do it, and then we check. All right, let's see. So, number 1, videos, that is to say, their creators, need to be more responsible. 2. We could ask more people to help, but then again, we don't have much time. 3. Talent is important, but having said that, dedication is what makes success. And finally, number 4, all his videos sell. In other words, he's hugely successful. In these sentences, there could be other options in the phrases. So if you complete it with something else and you want to know if your option is correct, when you hand in your assignment in the file, you could put those questions there and I will answer them. Okay, if you want to know if any other possibility is okay in these sentences 1 to 4. Now let's move on. Now we're going to go to the article on the right of the page, and I'd like you to read it and answer this question. Have you seen these tricks? Press pause now to read and then answer this question orally or for yourselves, and we move on. Okay, now that you have read the article at least once, we're going to proceed to completing this open-close activity. As you know, an open-close activity requires you to fill in gaps. In this case, we have, as you can see, 8 gaps with one word and only one word. And as you know, these words are mostly grammatical words. What do I mean by that? In general, you don't need nouns or you don't need adjectives, but you need words like determiners or short verbs, sometimes connectors, prepositions, pronouns, and those are the types of words that you generally need. So now you have to read this text again and complete the gaps with one word only. I will ask you to pause now to do this, and then when you press play again, I will give you the answers. So let's see. Using optical illusions to win. The interplay between action and perception happens subconsciously, and so we have little or no control over it. In sports, this means that players could potentially influence their opponent's actions by deliberately altering their perceptions. Goalkeepers try to anticipate where the ball will go, using information they get from the penalty taker's movements. According to 2 psychologists, a recent study showed that if goalkeepers stand very slightly off center, they can influence the direction of the penalty kick. They then wanted to find out whether a goalkeeper could also alter perceptions in his size so as to influence penalty takers' actions. What they discovered suggested that postures which make the goalkeeper seem bigger, for example, arms up, result in the penalty taker directing the ball away from the goalkeeper's body. While stances that make the goalkeeper appear smaller, for example, arms down, are more likely to result in penalty kicks aimed closer to his body. In these circumstances, the goalkeeper can increase the likelihood of saving a penalty kick by adjusting his posture accordingly. So now you have all the answers. 1 is no, 2 is to, 3 if, 4 as, 5 what, 6 while, 7 in, and 8 by. Let's move on to exercise 5. It says work in pairs and discuss the questions. You don't have to work in pairs. If you want to do this with someone through messages, that's all right, but I'm not going to ask you to upload this activity because, as I said at the beginning, the only thing you have to upload is the answers to page 61. But it says, is it fair to use tricks like those described in the article to win in sports? What do you think about this? And why do you think people are fascinated by optical illusions? Optical illusions being the main topic of the unit, apparently, it appears very, very frequently. So I'd like you to think of these questions, think of your answers and your ideas. All right? So that would be all. I hope you're doing well once again. And I'll be waiting for your replies. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. I hope it was useful. And I hope to see you soon. Bye.